Yes.
Ready to go? Okay. Welcome, talmidim. Kitos Ches here in Cheder Menachem, as well as talmidim all across the globe who are joining us for this second part of Tishrei with the Rebbe. Hayomim ha'elu niskarim v'nasim, we say in regards to every one of the Yom Tovim, Chassidic Yom Tovim, that take place. We recall those days, and by recalling those days, we actually then set those days in our hearts and our minds so that we can live to the best of our ability with that same chayas, with that same energy that Chassidim lived with B'yimei ha'or, in the days that we were together with the Rebbe, Melech b'Yofyoi, and we're honored that Rabbi Leibel Korf, Shliach of the Rebbe in Feliz, who, as I remember as a child, a few years older than me, was always Rosh V'Rishon, front and center. Every time the Rebbe was anywhere throughout the course of the entire year, and certainly during the special month of Tishrei, Rabbi Korf experienced and lived every moment in 770, in every opportunity possible to be there next to the Rebbe, with the Rebbe, and he also relives and recounts every year for talmidim here in Cheder, and over the past few years, by extension, talmidim all over the world, his experiences of Tishrei with the Rebbe. So it's our honor to welcome Rabbi Leibel Korf.
First of all, I want to tell you that by Chassidim, we always say that we have a Yom Haledes, Chassidic Yom Haledes, the time that when Chassidim came for the first time to the Rebbe, they would consider that to be their real birthday. So when I want to think back and relive being in Tishrei with the Rebbe, I try to envision myself at your age. That's the age that you're mature enough. You're a child, but you're mature enough, even a little younger. This is exactly what I try to envision. First encounter and welcome to be in the service of the Rebbe. So I know the last week or 2 weeks ago, Rabbi Feller was describing the details of the beginning of Tishrei, and he stopped us somewhere around Yom Kippur. I know we want to focus on Sukkos right now, so we'll just finish off with Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, the day that everyone's so serious, there was Nikitl and Talis, everyone's fasting. The end of Yom Kippur, you literally experience being with the Rebbe. You literally experience the transformation from the ernstkeit and the seriousness of Yom Kippur to the simcha and the confidence that it's going to be a very good year. So you watch the Rebbe during the Ne'ilah. I was very young, Tashmim Aleph. It was a very intense year. Like this year was Shabbos, and they sang Avinu Malkeinu 10 times, and the Rebbe's whole stende was shaking when the Rebbe was banged with both of his hands throughout the Avinu Malkeinu. We were able to see the Rebbe's hands under his talis, and the Rebbe crying under the talis during Avinu Malkeinu. And then it would start Napoleon's March. The Rebbe would stand by Napoleon's March and start banging like he usually bangs when they sing a nigun. And after a while, the Rebbe would turn around. So when I was younger, the Rebbe would just go on a chair, which was in the middle of the center of the bima of the Rebbe. He would just jump onto the chair. Remember Lamed Zayin, I was a very young kid. I was 4 years old. My father threw me from the back. The Rebbe wanted all the kids there. And I ended up somewhere next to the Rebbe and seeing something, not too much. But after the years, in the early the early 1980s, they began putting a stool for the Rebbe to get onto the chair. They put the chair in the corner so the Rebbe could hold on the sides, getting up on the chair. And then finally, eventually, in the mid-80s, the mid-mems, they built a set of stairs where on the top step is wider. The Rebbe would stand there and make with both of his hands. The intensity of the beginning, where you saw the Rebbe coming from intense davening and then transforming to simcha, you almost were able to see it happen right in front of your eyes. Like you're seeing everything in Sha'ar Shemayim, happening at this moment. And let me tell you, kids, I was your age. We were squished. You couldn't imagine how people have studied from all over want to be in the front, right there where the Rebbe is. So usually they would have a place for children in the front so we don't get that squished. But with Napoleon's March, everybody's in the same boat. And we would literally be tied down by all those people that want to see the Rebbe, and it didn't matter because being by the Rebbe was so important. Our physical body didn't really make sense. Didn't really make a difference. So anyway, they would go there so strong, talus, always fixing his talus, falling down, making very, very strong with his hands. And again, a sight that if you don't see it, you can't imagine how intense it is and how amazing it is. Anyway, you felt that presence by the Rebbe when it came to Napoleon's March. After Napoleon's March, everything has changed. Everyone's like relieved. It's done. Yom Kippur davening is done. The Rebbe's davening is done. Finally, we're going to have a Shana Tovim Sukkah, an amazing good year. Following that, the Rebbe would take off his talus, which the Rebbe kept his hat under the Rebbe had two doors by Shtender. He opened it up, pulled out his talus, and put on his hat. For us kids, it was always a sight we wanted to see. And the Rebbe would daven with the talus or with the hat on. And one year, the Rebbe davened for the Amid, for the Rebbetzin. So Tishrei Tes was the year after the Rebbetzin passed away. So the Rebbe was not up there, the Rebbe was on the bottom, as you can see right here. And at this particular time, the Rebbe sent one of his secretaries out to look if there's a Levana, because the Rebbe would always go with the Kiddush Levana after Yom Kippur. At this particular time, the Rebbe sent him out from downstairs, and eventually someone else came and told the Rebbe that there was no Levana. The Rebbe gave a broad smile over there because the person who told the Rebbe there's no Levana, the Rebbe responded, there is a Levana, but it's hidden. But it's, of course, we don't see the Levana outside. And the Rebbe smiled so much, the Rebbe said, everybody should go home and eat your soda, and there was a good yomtiv, v'samachta. You can see it in the videos. They would go out to Kiddush Levana. Let's just tell you a little bit about Kiddush Levana. As you remembered lately, a moment that I had with the Rebbe. In the earlier years, before they used to have a shtender like this, they would go with the siddur and look for the Levana. And look when there's a good Levana, where you could see it. So one time I was very young, probably a little younger than you, and I ended up right next to the Rebbe. It was a tiny little space, me and the Rebbe, right there in front of me. And the Rebbe, in an unusual way, gave me a little kiruv, as they said the Kaddish, the mourner's Kaddish, the Kaddish Yosem. The Rebbe went through every Omen with me together. Amen, Amen, Yehei, Shmei, Rab, and Barak, like saying with me, as if to, I don't know as if to what. It was a moment that I will always remember. But there was a time the Rebbe came to the Rebbe and would say Shalom Aleichem to the three people on the side, and afterwards the Rebbe, of course, would say Good Yom Tov. And the Rebbe would come out with the kippur, and the talus, and the hat, and with the shoes. They would change the shoes beforehand. That it's not Yom Kippur shoes anymore. The Rebbe's sukkah was always built at night, and there's a whole excitement. People that were involved. This is the Rebbe noticing it was, I think, Levi Shafraden with the camera, like you have it already. You already, Always the Rebbe gave very nice kiruv, smiles to Levi Shafraden. Would come every year to the Tishrei. This is the people getting involved in building the Rebbe's sukkah. It was stored somewhere on Kingston Avenue, and they were very involved in doing it exactly correct. I think this Rabbi brought to someone from our neighborhood. And now everyone's getting ready. It's Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and everyone's building sukkahs and getting the love and the but what? There's a fabrengen. Leil Yud Gimel Tishrei. There's always a fabrengen. Can you imagine all the urchim here? There's a weekday fabrengen, not only Vav Tishrei, the week before, not only right before Rosh Hashanah, but Leil Yud Gimel Tishrei. The York said that I'm Marash. Of course, they're talking about the Chatchel Rebbe is always very strong. I think there was one year in Yud Gimel Tishrei Rebbe talked about the Bachrim not looking at him during davening and focusing and Pnimius. So let's go forward to Sukkos. I think most of the times it was by day, but it could be sometimes it was the night before. Maybe I'm not so correct, but I remember the people that brought the Rebbe Esrogim would come first. It was Rabbi Oltein, maybe other people that brought the Rebbe Esrogim, like Shliach and other people. But the Rebbe got from Rabbi Oltein every year an esrog. They would give him $100 for it, and they used to keep those dollar bills, those $100 bills. They would look through the esrogim by a light. Just one or two times I made it upstairs to see the Rebbe do it. There was a light on the esrog. They would turn it and look at the esrog. The Rebbe took a few, obviously more than one, and the Rebbe gave out talmidim the next day. The Rebbe gave a love and esrogim the next day to certain people. There were people that brought the Rebbe every year. The Hadassim, this is the one building the Rebbe's sukkah. This is, I was not told about this, I'm not sure. Someone will enlighten me later what that letter is all about. So that would be if I'm bringing Lel Yud Gimel Tishrei, and this is the next day. So first we have the Rebbe accepting his own Esrogim and his own lulav, checking through them. I know my father-in-law from Morocco brought one year lulav. There were various people who brought the Rebbe lulav. Rabbi Bistritsky brought the Rebbe the Hadassim, and some people brought the Rebbe the Aravas. Everybody had a schus to bring certain things. They would go through them, count them, and it was very meticulous about it. There was a reshima, there was a list of people that would get lulav and Esrogim. If you were a representative from a certain country, it was called a Zeicha B'Girdle. You inherited to have a girdle and represent everybody else. It was a big thing by the Rebbe. Other Chassidim that came from other places, and the Rebbe gave them, there was a list who would get lulav and esrog. And many times you see videos of Rebbe standing with a list and reading it and discussing it, whether with the maskirim or the other people that were involved. Then there were certain people that Rebbe only gave one of the minim, like the maskirim, the hadassim. Other people just one of the minim. They would always give a bracha. The representatives from Kfar Chabad would come to the Rebbe every year, I think from the Lamids, I think from the early Lamids it started, in the early 70s, and gave the Rebbe Esrogim from Kfar Chabad. Some people say the Rebbe even shook it at a certain time during Sukkos. I'm not sure when, I never authenticated it, but many people say that the Rebbe did use it, as even though it was not with the bracha in the morning, but it was used sometime during Sukkos. At this time that they gave the Rebbe the lulav and Esrogim, as you saw before, this was in the Rebbe's room. But later on, it was only outside the Gan Eden Atachta. Very seldom would people be invited into the Rebbe's room in the later years. And it was a big organization in the Rebbe's room. It was later years it stopped happening. The Rebbe came out to the Gan Eden Atachta, and the Rebbe would say a bracha to them. Many times, the new Rosh Hashanah of the year was given that was accepted or appreciated or accepted by the Rebbe at that time. Teishnas Bias Mashiach, Teishnas Gulas Mashiach, Divrei Mashiach. That we'll talk about in the beginning of the year, and Erev Sukkos was one of the times where these strong brachas came. So this is Erev Sukkos. The Rebbe is going through the lulavim that was brought to the Rebbe. The Rebbe is taking the esrogim from the people from Kfar Chabad, and here is the Rebbe giving to the maskirim. This is Dr. Nissim Mendel, the masker of the Rebbe, and this is Rabbi Krinsky, Rabbi Groner, Rabbi Klein, and Rabbi Simpson, all being told to take from the table Hadassim. And of course, they would go by the Rebbe when they took it, and the Rebbe would give a bracha. This is Rabbi Lefutavas, getting the whole Dal of Minim. And this is also representatives from Paris, getting the whole Dal of Minim. These are the people that received from the Rebbe the Dal of Minim. This is in the Rebbe's room. Again, this is the earlier years when the Rebbe gave it in the Rebbe's room itself. This is again going back to the outside, the years that the Rebbe gave a bracha. You see the position partisan over there, the position Volomovsky. Now, this is a picture of during Sukkot, the Rebbe holding it, because there's no picture of the Rebbe taking the lulav and the esrogim, the lulav not made. I don't know if the Rebbe went with the esrog then. This is the Rebbe went with lulav and esrog. The Rebbe would go and make his own lulav. The Rebbe would give the lulav the raskin to make the lulav of the Rebbetzin. Years later, they still made two lulavim. Not sure what the second one was used and if it was used. But the later years, the Rebbe told Rabbi David to make his own lulav as well. The Rebbe told him in Yiddish 36, and which is 36, and that the aravas should be totally covered, and that would just repeat it, Tzvei aravas. And the 36 adas, there's tapes of it today, of the Rebbe telling a video of it actually, of the Rebbe telling Rabbi David Raskin how to make the lulav. So let's go to Sukkot itself. So when I was again going back to your age, Tov Shemem Aleph, 1981, you have 90, you don't think anything special. It's Yom Tov. A lot of Orchim here, a lot of Fabrengens, Sukkos. That's what we knew Sukkos is about. You went to your Sukkah, you had a Fabrengen. Tov Shemem Aleph, all of a sudden, the year of Hakel, the year the Rebbe initiated Tzivos Hashem, the Rebbe started talking after Ma'ariv. So as I told you before, there was always a place in the front where kids felt safe. Nobody pushed you. And all of a sudden, nobody was safe anymore. Everybody ran in and jumped over the table that was protecting the children and maskirim in the front. Everybody ran towards the front where the Rebbe was saying the Sicha. And from there on began every single year that the Rebbe would speak after Ma'ariv, talk about the Ushpizin, and talk about the Simcha of Simchas Beis HaShoi'eiva. So that night, no one really took it. I was a child, but nobody took it to know what extent it would be. But Rebbe said we have to push it to have a simcha Beis HaShoi'eiva. It's an intense simcha. People that night were bringing along Kingston Avenue, and they ended up dancing in the middle of the street. After Farbrengen. I guess they reported it to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe spoke about it the next night. That he got the idea that not only they were dancing, later on the Rebbe said that the street was dancing itself. The Rebbe greatly appreciated and accepted that to be the method of Simchas Sheva. So just for I think people are watching this in Crown Heights and can't see Hashem Sabracha. When you think about many of the Rebbe's campaigns, you think about Shluchim that are fulfilling the campaign. Lighting big menorahs, going to get proclamations from city officials. Many of them, if so, you're making a public seder. You think about Shluchim who are doing it in Nepal and Russia and everywhere all around the world, doing the Rebbe's Miftzayim. This is one mitzvah that I don't know how it is anywhere else in the world, but you could truly say that Crown Heights is fulfilling this Eidah perfectly. This is what the Rebbe wanted. It's right there in Crown Heights every single night. Simchas Beis HaShoi'eiva. People from all over. Many of the neighborhoods, of course, mostly come in Chalamoyed, but it's a real intense dancing. So let me describe you what the first night of Sukkot felt like. So the Rebbe would say a sicha. Afterwards, you have to have chazorah. You want to hear what the Rebbe said. You want to review it. You have to remember it. Sometimes it's 3 days you have to remember it. Can you imagine? Thursday, Friday, and Shabbos, and you can't write it down. Nobody can write it down till Matzah Shabbos. Then the Rebbe would say a sicha, where the Rebbe would go into the big sukkah the first night and talk to the guest. All the Urchim that came, the Rebbe wanted to speak to them in the sukkah. The Rebbe didn't have a farbrengen in the sukkah since 1971, I think it was, because it was a terrible tragedy. Someone got hurt very badly. And from then on, the Rebbe stopped having a farbrengen in the sukkah. But the Rebbe spoke to Sichas from 1981, from Doshim HaMalov, and the Rebbe went to the sukkah to speak to the Urchim. I always managed to be in there. I mean, I wasn't a guest, but just to make sure that I pick up what's going on over there. And it was one year that I was extremely hard. The Rebbe really wanted to go on top of a stage and speak to the Urchim. It was very difficult. The Rebbe was climbing himself. I was right there next to the Rebbe, and until they brought the stender. But the Rebbe really wanted to speak to the Urchim in a very close way, in a perfect way. The Rebbe looked for the candles. Right after that Urchim, Sicha, the Rebbe everybody went outside to dance, Kingston Avenue. That's what the Rebbe wanted. Right after you finished your meal, you went to dance. People should dance till the morning. Intense dancing. I don't know if your friends are in Crown Heights right now, but this is what Simchas HaShoi'eiva is. You don't feel yourself. You listen to Sicha, you go to your Chazorah, you run home after you heard Chazorah, you already got the whole Sicha clearly, you go home, and you have a farbrengen a little bit, then you go dance. The next morning, you can't sleep in. You want to bench Esrik, and the Rebbe is Lulav and Esrik. Can you imagine? You take the Rebbe would come to 770. First of all, in order to get online for the Rebbe's Lulav and Esrik, we'll talk in a second. People would come very early and get numbers sometimes and be early online. But the Rebbe would come to 770 in the early years, 7 o'clock. And the Rebbe would make a bracha on his own Lulav and Esrik. And the Rebbe would send it out to Rabbi Meir Harlik. And he would say that it's a matana manas lahachzir. And Rabbi Meir Harlik would stand there and give everybody the Lulav and Esrik to shake. It's not in the earlier years, way before I was born. The Rebbe was always a machmer, and Lulav and Esrik was always behidur. There's stories about the Rebbe's Mesiras Nefesh. And the Rebbe was back in time of the war. This is Simchas Beis HaShoi'eiva. This is the Rebbe going to Lulav and Esrik to make a bracha. The time of the war, that the Rebbe was mamish doing Mesiras Nefesh to get a mehudadik Esrik. And people wanted the Rebbe's Lulav and Esrik to make a bracha. So the Rebbe allowed people to borrow it. The Rebbe would be himself in the early years while people would make the bracha. After a while, Rabbi Harlik offered to hold it for the Rebbe so the Rebbe can go on. So from there on, it became his chus. And Tov Shin Nun Beis, something so unusual happened. Usually the Rebbe, this was always a seder. The Rebbe would give it to Rabbi Harlik. Rabbi Harlik would go and stand deep into the big sukkah and allow everybody to go online. Everybody would just take it. No one shakes to all sides. You make a bracha, and you shake it, and you put it down. Every person, or you give it to him the lulav, you put down the esrog. As soon as it would come time for the Rebbe to daven, the Rebbe would say Hallel. Rabbi Harlik would walk in during davening, and would put down the lulav and the esrog on the Rebbe stender. And the Rebbe would, of course, check the lulav, check the esrog, to make sure, of course, it was very brown, because everybody sweat from their hand. The Rebbe once said that's the hiddur of esrog, that it's used by more people. But the Rebbe made sure to see that there was 100% everything perfect. Tov Beis, something very unusual happened. Anybody know what happened? Huh?
Rebbe came out
And
and he stood.
Rebbe came out, very nice. Rebbe came out and followed Rabbi Harley. He says, Vu gate and vu steht, where are we standing? Harley like, what? We're standing? And Rebbe followed him. And the Rebbe stood there the entire time. It was 8 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30, 3 o'clock. Standing and listening to everybody making a bracha and saying Amen. Everybody's double bracha. It was a frightening thing. We walk by the Rebbe, we're bottled, the Rebbe gives us a dollar, the Rebbe says bracha v'atzlacha. Some people ask for a bracha, but here the Rebbe heard us, the Rebbe said Amen. Something which is was just incredible to stand there and see it. The Rebbe would come down to davening and get the talmidim by Halo. The Rebbe would do the nanuyim in a very meticulous way. You can watch it on the videos. Very interesting if you watch it. The Rebbe would do it very, every side was to the side and back to the heart. To the side, to the heart. In a very interesting way, from the front, up, down a little bit, and back to his heart. If you look at carefully the nanuyim, don't just shake it to all sides, up and down. That's not the way the Rebbe does it. If you look carefully in the video, I think they were trying to show a video of nanuyim, but they couldn't get the sound. But it's a good thing for you to watch. But the Rebbe doing nanuyim. It's a very unique, and it's about bringing the Esther Lulav to the heart. Afterwards, this is the Rebbe doing nanuyim over the years. Then it comes a shyness. So the Rebbe would say the shyness without a siddur, that part from Samach when you go around the Bima. It was 1 or 2 years that they did. The Rebbe did hold it, but usually this is the regular seer that you would see. The Rebbe going with the Lulav and Esther to the heart, and the Chazan being right in front of the Rebbe, and then the Rebbe would stand. By his places later years, the Rebbe, one time the Rebbe put on glasses while saying the shyness, but then the Rebbe would wait by his place until everybody went to the shyness. After you saw all the Lulavim, we're not going around the beam anymore, and everything stopped. They would turn around, and they would sing a Shia Samecha. The Rebbe would shake with the lulav, as the Rebbe would always do to make with his hands. So the Rebbe would shake with the lulav, Shia Samecha. Of course, wait till the secretary goes in. So this is, of course, think about the day of Sukkos. You don't sleep by night, you're dancing all night. You get up early in the morning, you got to get into the line to get the Rebbe's Lulav if you want to make on time before davening. You want to eat something also. You give out cakes to the urchim, to the people. You eat something quickly. You make it down for davening 10 o'clock. And after davening, you see the Rebbe going through a shyness. Get a nap, right? No, everybody would go on Mitzvah. We'll give them Mitzvah Lulav and Esther. So the intense time of Sukkos by the Rebbe was so intense 24/7 for 6 days. You were in a different world. You didn't need any koiches. You didn't need you slept a little bit here and there. You didn't need a strength. You just had the strength from seeing the Rebbe and from doing the Rebbe's heroes and going out there. Everybody would go on Mitzvah. You go an hour, you go 2 hours, 3 hours. You'd go on Mitzvah every day. This is again Mitzvah, I guess. I can't see well. And this is Sukkos HaShoi'eiva. People from all over would come and dance Sukkos HaShoi'eiva. And once the music started, and the weekdays was, of course, most greatest simcha you could see is simcha in Koranai Sukkos HaShoi'eiva. But that would come in, of course, and by the end of davening, this is the time when Rebbe was clapping and Rebbe's Lulav and Esther is there already. So I'm not sure if this is at the end of davening, because the Rebbe would clap something that's coming in. And the Rebbe would clap, and the way how the Rebbe would hold the Lulav and Esther and make with his hand, that you can see the next picture, or the previous one. He would make with his hands as he's holding Lulav and Esther. This is one time that Rebbe was making his hands as Lulav and Esther is still on the Bima. This is going on Mitzvayim. Again, I'm having a little hard time seeing the pictures, but it's okay. So this is the highlights of Sukkos. Sukkos was a time that we felt the Simcha in an amazing way. That everyone would have a Tzivos Hashem rally on Sukkos. Was there Tzivos Hashem rally? On Sukkos? And a Psukim. And of course, a Simcha, v'samachta b'chagecha. Everyone was always clapping with the children. It was always a very, very amazing rally. 1 year, I was not there. 1 year, the Rebbe had a special bringing only for the kids of the release time. And the Rebbe had it in the Sukkah. The boys were inside, the girls were in the shul. And later the Rebbe said the boys should all go out and the girls should come inside. This is a very unique time that the Rebbe washed and had a soda with the release time. Le'il Shayin Rabba. So every night we were up all night. But the Shayin Rabba 1 o'clock in the morning, the Rebbe would come out and say Tehillim with everybody. The Rebbe would come and say Tehillim with everybody. One year, I remember Levi Shafedin was there with the video. I was standing right next to him. The Rebbe turned around in the middle and asked him, where is his Tehillim? And they brought him a Tehillim. But it was the time that the Rebbe would, of course, 1 o'clock in the morning, say Tehillim with everybody. The Rebbe spoke about the Gaboyim giving out apple and honey. We always got apple and honey from the Gaboyim. There was a story one time that the Rebbe Raskin had honey from the Rebbe. I think it was a Shana Rabbah. Now, what was special for children? There's one thing that we could not shake the Rebbe's Lulav and Esrog on every day of Sukkot. The one time we were able to shake the Rebbe's Lulav and Esrog was the Shana Rabbah. Why?
Because kids are only kids can have them.
Why could the kids get a Shana Rabbah?
Because women.
Because what?
Women.
Why women and children could have a Shana Rabbah? Because the Rebbe wouldn't use it anymore. So basically what I understand is that the question is if a child could give a kinyan back to the Rebbe gave a kinyan to a child, how can a person give a kinyan back to the Rebbe? So that's what I understood when I was a child. I'm not sure if that's the reason. But the Rebbe would only give it to adults, men. But the Rebbe finished using all the shyness. So after davening, after all the men went, the kids got a chance to shake the Rebbe's Lulav and Esrog. For us, we wanted to make the bracha, so we would not eat before. It's already 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was difficult, but we did it. We made sure to be the ones that benched the Rebbe's Lulav and Esrog. Yes.
Did women also have to do it?
Yes, I said women and children. So first the men, then the children, then the women. Now, let me just go back for a Shana Rabbah. What did Rebbe do in a Shana Rabbah? You have a shyness. So you see a picture of the Rebbe holding the shyness beforehand, and you see the Rebbe going in the car with their shyness, and then you see the Rebbe going with their shyness down. Why is the Rebbe going down? Since the Rebbe would go 7 times around the bima, the Rebbe wouldn't go down every time from his bima. The Rebbe would station himself on the bottom, next to the chazan. They would have a special table for the Rebbe there, and the Rebbe would do the whole shyness from downstairs next to the chazan stender. And the Rebbe would walk with the chazan for everyone's shyness. They didn't let anybody else go for the 7 times because it was short, 7 times one after the other, and that was the end of their shyness. While the children are getting the Lulav and Esrog, while the women are getting Lulav and Esrog, the Rebbe is giving out lekach. The Rebbe would give out lekach from the sukkah, something I was able to see because it wasn't like hidden inside the Rebbe's room or something. We would stand somewhere alongside the big sukkah so we could see the Rebbe give out lekach. It was a very special time. The Rebbe standing by his sukkah and people walking by, whoever did not get before Yom Kippur, and also many more people were able to come and they shine the Rebbe. Just think for a second, the intense schedule of the Rebbe. This is right before Shemini Atzeres. We all know what happened to Tishrei Ches when the Rebbe had the heart attack in the night of Shemini Atzeres. There was no time for the Rebbe to even need a Suda or anything. Everybody needs a Suda shine the Rebbe. The Rebbe, of course, would go home very short, need something very short. But the Rebbe would be the most of the day giving out lekach. This is the Rasha giving lekach from the Rebbe. Many people would come throughout the day, and a lot of nice kiruvim that we saw from people night of lekach. And that was the highlight, I think, of Tishrei. I mean, Rosh Hashanah, you see the Rebbe going Shofar. Yom Kippur, you have the moment of Napoleon's March. But Shemini Atzeres, Simchas Beis HaShoi'eiva, first of all, you see 770. 770 would be entirely cleaned up, and no chairs, no tables. You cannot be tired or old in 770 and Simchas Beis HaShoi'eiva. All there is bleachers. Bleachers, and you're like beyond squished. There's no such thing as there's no feeling yourself. You're no metzias whatsoever. You have no existence whatsoever. All you want is to see the Rebbe. The Rebbe would be on a double stage. So from the moment of Shemini Atzeres, we all got our places. We're not ready for the Sefer Torah yet. Once we all got our places in 770, and the Rebbe would come down Shemini Atzeres from Ma'ariv. Ma'ariv would be around 7 o'clock. The Rebbe would come down to Ma'ariv, and the Rebbe all of a sudden ascending on a double stage, a very narrow stage. So usually it's the height of a table. Here's the height of 2 tables. Then we go to the top, and I remember like vividly Zman Ches, like one special year. That was Simcha was so strong from Rosh Hashanah. Then we get up on top of the bima, and then we made such strong noise, expressions to the Olam. Yeah, I think I remember it was like I think Shemini says that year, and then it was a move of the Rebbe like sweeping the hands back and forth, very strong. You imagine entire 770 going choderam, going so strong as the Rebbe would just initiate the whole Shemini Atzeres feeling and theme. Most of the times, so strong, just to, right before Meir, put down the siddur, turn around to the Olam. It was just that moment. You felt it starting. Then we would take a break before Aleinu. There was no Aleinu. Rebbe would go home and make Kiddush, and make some fish or whatever. Come back to your place, because 9 o'clock the Rebbe would come into Hakafis. Rebbe would come into Hakafis. So the tumult in the assembly was tremendous. Everybody wants to see the Rebbe. There's 2 places to see. The front is one thing very unique, because the Rebbe allowed himself to be accessible. It wasn't like during the year when nobody would go even close, nobody would say anything. Shemini Atzeres was a time people felt a little more comfortable. A lot of people right next to the Rebbe, asking for brachas. They were smiling to certain people. It was just the time that you felt things are happening next to the Rebbe that it wouldn't happen all year round. So if you want to be in the front, you want to be in the center, we see the Rebbe's Hakafis. So that would come up, he would announce Atzeres. The Rebbe would say the first and last of Atzeres. Very, very strong, of course. If you were closer to the front, you heard very, always a very stern way. People would hear the Rebbe say it, the Rebbe say after the Rebbe, and then they would turn around and sing the Gunim. It was always the same. The Gunim was Allah Salahach. I don't think it would start from the beginning. Anything. It was always in the middle. Or ay, and it was so strong. Allah Salahach, and Tishrei Zayin Ches was also very strong. It was very strong. It was Faratz that was after the third one. Was I mistaken which Negunim? But usually these 3 Negunim, I think. Okay, maybe wrong. Maybe living in different years. But it was definitely very strong. The Negunim, the Rebbe would start in Negunim, and it would be a 3 Atzeres. Finally, the Rebbe would go to his own Kafis. For all the years till Tashma Malif or even later, the Rebbe would dance with his brother-in-law, the Rashad. That would put his hands on the Rashad's shoulder, but not on the shoulder. That would lean it on his hands. The Rashad would put his hand on the Rebbe's shoulder, and then the Rebbe would put his hand leaning on the Rashad's hand. That's every time I remember how I saw it. And the Rashad was getting old; he wasn't going so fast, so it lost the momentum after the years because the people in charge of the Rashad was busy looking to make sure he's okay. He's like old and hard to walk, and the Rebbe is making this with his Sefer Torah, but being sensitive to him. So it was like, some of the years we were hoping. So it was sad because one year he wasn't feeling well. He had a cold, and they took him out, and the whole island was applauding because they were excited because the Rebbe would dance very differently. The Rebbe would dance all along. But of course, the Rebbe, once the Rashad was not able to come anymore, the Rebbe danced by the Hakafis. So amazing. It was the Rebbe was dancing with everybody. They went on a higher stage in the middle of the Ches, it's called. That would go on, and with the Sefer Torah in the ear, there was small Sefer Torah. Every area tried to dance with the Rebbe separately. The Rebbe was like dancing with each one of us. The Rebbe turned around the whole time and dancing with different, like looking at you and dancing with you. It's just amazing. One year that I have to describe to was Tashma Malif. The Rebbe wanted to make Hakafis for the children, and that was beyond chaos. The Rebbe came there. The Rebbe was about the Masad almost. The Rebbe was making a seder. Because people have their place, and they die for their place. But here the Rebbe said the children, and his children trying to get in, and you're standing by your place. They would say, Avek. I was telling people, B'stima bar mitzvah, Avek. Are you over bar mitzvah? Go away. But it was a very strong ability to say that. I know one of my relatives were holding someone, and the Rebbe allowed it because he says he's holding somebody. It was very difficult. Your friend was over there at the table crying, and the Rebbe bent you, and the Rebbe was like this to him, like this, so strong, and you hurt your foot. And a broken foot, so that would never say, right? I know you would say this place by the beam, yeah? No? So they never asked.
I had a broken foot. I'm close enough because that had to pass by. Never looked at it.
Never asked Rabbi Greenbaum when I had a broken foot, why is he not going to the Hakafah? So he said, I showed him to his foot. That way, like that. Like, don't worry about it. I'm going. It was an amazing time, amazing cure that I ever had with the kids one time. But all the other years was no building center like that. Everybody had their places. The Rebbe would come in, Hakafis with the Rebbe. It was just unreal. And then by each Hakafah, the Rebbe would turn around from the front. Every time, the strong noise of the Rebbe, you just tried to go along with it. You just tried. You held on to your life, wherever you were standing. And the Simcha Atzuma that was by the Olam was just incredible. The Shemini Atzeres. This is going from 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And everybody would take Sefer Torahs afterwards and dance all night. And of course, come the next day to davening. Shemini Atzeres afternoon, you catch your breath. You can do B'Fsayim. You can go for brain. There was for brain is all over the sukkahs. But of course, you want to come back to, you have to go to halacha. So that would basically, there was 3 taluchas a year. When you go into other communities and you bring simcha to other communities. So there was talucha, Shavuos, Pesach, Shavuos, and Simchas Torah. So we all know Pesach and Shavuos, the Rebbe came out to Baglit, to see the Olam go. When it came to Simchas Torah, Shemini Atzeres, night was the night of Simchas Torah, the Rebbe would not come out. The only time the Rebbe came out was the last year. I was walking down Kingston Avenue and Avich Afraid and saw me and says, the Rebbe's Arishik going Baglit, and the Rebbe went out to see the crowd. I run there, I see no crowd. And the Rebbe's standing there. So I start running, but in my mind, I was not going to miss Mincha, because the Rebbe comes out to Mincha, the Rebbe makes his hands, I'm not going to miss that. But I see the Rebbe's looking at me to see if I'm going, so I went. And I went far, every time I looked back, the Rebbe's still looking at me. So I went somewhere where I'm not seen anymore. I saw the Rebbe went back in, and whatever troublemaker I am, I went back. I wanted to see Mincha. But of course, I went on Talucha, and we all came back. Nobody wanted to be seen at the beginning of the Fabringen. That bad of Fabringen. I said, Ma'ariv, nobody was there. I mean, the Bachrim were people that went on Talucha. You don't show your face to Ma'ariv. That's the people that don't go to Talucha. So we none of us were ever by Ma'ariv. But Fabringen also, the Rebbe's Fabringen, the beginning was a person, Hishel Shafin, who would make Kiddush, and you make sure you're not there at that time. This is still Talucha time. But those that made it. Either we went to closer places or we ran very, very fast from the places that we went to. But the Rebbe had a Fabringen at 9 o'clock. By 9:20, by 9:15, I tried to be there. Some of the Fabringens were just incredible to imagine. One of them I can't forget. The Rebbe said everyone should finish the cup of mashka that they had. And the Rebbe said, I'll be the first one. He said, all cups should be finished. And the Rebbe finished his cup, the Rebbe would finish a cup like this. And the Rebbe turned over the becher. And the Rebbe said a whole sikha with the becher upside down. And moving his hand back and forth like that. And when we were dancing, I was holding a bottle of mashka that was upside down. But they were pushing me, so it turned over. So the Rebbe showed like this to turn it back over. Everything had to be turned over. Every bottle and every cup. And there was a big tumult. They said, Shash Tilla many times. If you be quiet, the Rebbe said the famous mashal of the king that everybody wants to say Shash Tilla, but they're making even more noise. But it was 11 if I'm bringing. It was that night, the night of Akafas, a lot of times great Giluyim. The Rebbe would say things. Many of the famous sikhs of the Rebbe crying for Moshe Rabbeinu breaking the luchas, crying by the question, how did Moshe Rabbeinu break the luchas? And they're crying. And then they were crying that the Moshe Rabbeinu's care for all the Yidden. It was a very open Fabringen. The Rebbe would leave about 12 o'clock. The Rebbe would ask him if everybody came back from Talucha. His answer was always yes. And he asked the Rebbe asked Afilo from Brighton Beach. He even came from Brighton Beach, and which is a fine. Anyway, everybody would have forced to go outside because the Rebbe was coming back in Kalkavis. There was one guy, Rabbi Leibel Korf. He was the one that had the schus that notified the Rebbe that the shul was ready. That was his schus every year. So we'd go in. That would come down at 1 o'clock, and the coffee started at 1 o'clock in the morning. The coffee, I don't have to tell you, everybody's after Fabring, and everybody's after the uplift of Shemini Atzeres, just to read the same thing all over again, but more intensely. Just to be by that coffee of the Rebbe. People would, 4 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the morning, everybody would dance. Way before our times, from 1955 to 64, the Rebbe taught Negulim. Afterwards, after that went up to the Suda, that would come down, not 65, till 65, right? But the Rebbe would go up to the meal and come downstairs and teach a niggun. Simchas Torah by day. Everybody had to be back there, of course. We're up all night, it doesn't matter. The Rebbe is having a kafas, so you make sure to be there in time. That would come in, of course, empty shul, freezing from the air conditioning, because the air conditioning is always for 10,000 people. That would come out, of course, the talus make with his hands, and of course, it would be akafas. People would make kiddush next to the Rebbe, of course, the Rebbe didn't make kiddush, but askirim, people next to the Rebbe, would say l'chaim to the Rebbe. It was a very, very kiruvdik time of the Rebbe being very kiruvdik to people. The Rebbe would get the aliyah, the Rebbe would not get maftir. Why wouldn't the Rebbe get maftir? Because what would the Rebbe get? Chassan Torah. The Rebbe get Chassan Torah with who else? Who did the Rebbe join? Who joined the Rebbe with Chassan Torah? Friedik Rebbe. It's the only time they would call up the Friedik Rebbe. I'm sorry, Chassidic. Sorry. They would call up the Friedik Rebbe and the Rebbe, and they would say the names. Rabbi Mitzvah, and the Shalom Dever, and the Rebbe's name, and the Rebbe's father's name. Every year, throughout the year, would be Adinei Rabbeinu, and then Rabbi Leibel Korf. This is the only time by the whole Mershus, by the whole Lashon, they would use the Rebbe's name. everybody would get an aliyah, but of course from your place you just threw a talisi and said amen. Everybody would get an aliyah by the Rebbe. It was for bringing that night. Keshel Bracha, the Simcha, you can watch it on the videos. The Simcha of Keshel Bracha would continue throughout the entire year. Simchas Torah was a day that you felt so uplifted. If it would be like this year, Thursday and Friday, the Simcha would continue into Shabbos Bereishis, and then Motzei Shabbos again, Shabbos be again if I bring it, and Keshel Bracha. So all this would be the continuation of Tishrei. Shabbos Bereishis was also a time that Chazan was there. Whenever it was not 3 days together, it was a Moshe Talashevsky, and he would sing all the Nebulim from all the Yom Tovim. He got his shots over there. So Shabbos Bereishis was a very much a conclusion of the whole Tishrei. And at Motzei Shabbos, by Keshel Bracha, many times the Rebbe would say, "V'yakev olach l'darkei." This is the time that we have to all take our peklach that we packed in from the whole Tishrei. So much that people receive from giving panim to the Rebbe, Tkiyas, Yom Kippur, Sukkos, Simchas Torah. It was so packed. And therefore the bracha was so appropriate. The Rebbe gave a bracha. This is my father. I would stand behind over there. You could see my face, but that was a place of Keshel Bracha. And the Rebbe showed this. The Rebbe clapping his hands to the girl. Famous story where the Rebbe complained that she's singing with her grandfather, Tzatzkes, that was there. And when Groner told her, maybe not in such a way, because he was just wanting to tell the Rebbe Zayirah that she shouldn't sing, the Rebbe, I guess, appeased her and put down the becher, and the Rebbe clapped with her with the Shemracha. This is the making, of course, the intense Giluyim that was like the Shemracha, the Simcha that Rebbe showed to every person. At the end, the Urchim would have a private Yechidus. The Urchim left. There was always a goodbye to the Urchim. Years ago, there was a Seischem L'Sholem, but later on, it was just basically the Rebbe going to just a Yechidus for the Urchim. It was a very, very personal time that Rebbe had. It was very miyaker, very much cherished. The people that realized that you have to come with the Dal Vamas of the Rebbe for Tishrei. The Rebbe appreciated it. The Rebbe recognized it, and I'm sure even today, when you have the schus that you can go to the Dal Vamas of the Rebbe, you know that the Rebbe recognizes as being something very powerful. Who wouldn't want to be the B'chitza of the Rebbe now? But of course, even more so, we'll see the Rebbe in a very revealed way. Bias Mashiach Tzidkenu, Mizgalno has been made to be a man of Mamash.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Straight up my way.
Never my phone.
What?
I know it's a bunch of you.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Korf. Thank you very much, Rabbi Leibel Korf, for organizing this wonderful series. And the Eibush Zahal and Taka, we should all be Zoicha ready before Sukkos, Melech B'Yofei Sechazena Inenu, that we should all be able to spend Sukkos, Atzeres, Simchas Torah, together with the Rebbe and the Beis Hamikdash and Shlishi. Take it from Yad. Thank you.